So greetings, it's Mike from LiveMyAssOff.com, and I'm here at school, actually, where I work, University of San Diego, and we have a bunch of these fountains. And so if the white noise is too much, then I'll just redo this video. But what I thought would be awesome is something that, I see other people do, like they do top 10 lists and that sort of thing. So what I wanted to do is I just came up, quickly wrote it down, and there could be like hundreds more, as I hope there are for you. But happy Mother's Day, first of all. But secondly, I wanted to do the top 10 reasons why I think my mom is awesome. Just in the last 5 seconds, what I thought of. The first is Edaville Railroad. If you guys, anyone who watches my channel who's from back around the Boston area, when I was a little kid, my mom used to take me to this place called Edaville Railroad, and it was this really neat little place with, railway cars and that sort of thing. And I don't necessarily remember having anything other than a pleasant experience. I don't remember like exactly what was there, but I can tell you it was what just popped into my head, and I'm like, God, and it's an example of all the little places that she would take me, take time out of her day, that sort of thing, and be a fantastic mom, and allow me to experience new little things when I was a little kid. The second one, which dovetails into that, is blueberry picking. I was having a discussion with my boss the other day, and we were eating blueberries, and I'm like, hey, you ever go blueberry picking? And he shared this great story about when his uncle used to take him blueberry picking. And I'm like, I remember when my mom used to take me blueberry picking, and we had these baskets, and you tied this like old necktie around your neck, and it held the bucket, or you put the belt around your waist, or you wore the tie as a belt. And I remember definitely, I think I ate at least 49% of what I picked off. So that was like really cool. The second thing, or the third, number 3, corn fritters. I don't know why this popped into my head, but it was one of those deals where it was kind of like, it was a really good treat that we had, and sometimes we had it for dinner. It was almost like having dessert or having breakfast for dinner. Now, my mom has a degree in home economics and nutrition, so everything that she always made for Dad and I was, very nutritious overall. But of course then there's cake and that sort of thing that we would have on special occasions. And, gratefully, I also didn't grow up eating sugar cereals from the grocery store, but nonetheless, that popped into my head. Skiing Kings Ridge is number 4. So when I was younger, basically in about junior high school, she used to drive my buddy John Lewis and I up to this ski resort called Kings Ridge. And I just remember, like, it felt like for a while there, it was almost every single weekend. And that was like so cool, because I flashed on that and thought, if I was that, I'm not a parent, right? So I don't know like the joy of being able to experience my son or daughter enjoying the outdoors with their friends and being healthy and that sort of thing. But yeah, that was like a really, really cool memory. Number 5 I wrote down is the girlfriend test, and I'll tell you why. Not that I have like an Oedipus complex or anything weird like that, but my mom is one of those people that's in my life that I can always tell when I'm with the right person, and let's just say for the sake of argument, it's, a new girlfriend, when they're nice to my mom. And after being together, like if my girlfriend is with me at a certain amount of time, for example, my mom will notice certain things, and she and I will actually sort of collaborate on, that's a behavior that might not work out for me. And so if you're watching, honey, I can tell you right now that like everything you do for me, she would love. So that's good news. So that it's a good litmus test, because there's a part of me that thinks, so would mom like really appreciate this? And yes, Gracie, she'd appreciate you. The support no matter what. Now, I've made some mistakes in my life for sure, as we all do, because that's part of learning, and it's also part of being an idiot. But she always supported me no matter what. I knew I could always count on her, while there were some times that I would make bad choices and I was afraid to tell her, because I was afraid that she would be disappointed. I need to basically state that all the behavior that she ever engaged in that I was witness to told me she supports me no matter what. And I'll tell you, the neat thing about that is when I got sober and when I started going to meetings, there are all these new phrases, but one of them was unconditional love. And a lot of people struggle with these new phrases that they hear in this new club that we're part of when we're getting sober. But when I heard unconditional love, bam, first thing that popped into my head was my mom and her behavior. So that was awesome that I had a great example of that. to be able to refer back to. Number 7, coming to Coronado. So I don't live in a horrible area, but it's really neat that my mom wants to come there. Now it's obviously much more convenient for me to go back there, certainly lately because of all the travel that I'm doing. But it's really awesome that she comes to Coronado and experiences where I live. Number 8, and actually we took a video of over USD when we did this, the helicopter ride on her birthday. So when she turned 75, her desire was to go on a helicopter ride. And so she basically came out here and said, okay, we're gonna rent this helicopter, we're gonna go for a ride for like an hour around San Diego. But she took me with her. I mean, what she wanted to do was not just experience with herself, but share it with me. And I was so honored by that. I mean, it was beautiful. Like I've never ridden in a helicopter going around San Diego until then. So that was pretty awesome. Taking care of Alias is number 9. And so if you don't know, because I didn't start doing videos back then, but I used to live in a house in La Mesa, and I used to have a wonderful dog, arguably the best dog in the whole wide world, which was a huge black lab, Mastiff or Great Dane mix. I wasn't sure. The point is that he weighed about 100 kilos. I'm sorry, he weighed 50 kilos. And he was a big guy. And my mom, because when I would travel, she would literally fly out to San Diego. We would spend few days together. But then when I would go off and do my conferences and that sort of thing, she would take care of Alias the whole time. And that was so awesome. I mean, I just appreciate that so much. Number 10 was driving me to 4-H and specifically the Brockton Fair. When I was a little kid, I had the opportunity to work in 4-H. And if you don't know what that is, it's basically an organization that works with people that are sort of in agriculture, that sort of thing. And I don't know if it's out here in California, but I do know that it's back east. And if you don't know, the 4 H's stand for Head, Heart, Hands, and Health. And their symbol is the 4-leaf clover. But in any case, they would have sort of fairs, county fairs, and they would have sheep and cows and that sort of thing. But she was able to, she drove me there all the time. And that was totally fantastic because later on in life, I went back to where the Brockton Fair was. And I gotta tell you, that area of Massachusetts, Brockton, is not a nice area. So thank you for taking me to an area that was potentially kind of gross and dropping me off. Number 11 is making the robot outfit at the last minute. So I come home and I don't remember what grade it was. It was 4th or 5th grade, maybe 6th, I don't know. I was younger, and so the next day was Halloween or something. We were having a Halloween party at school. And I said, oh, Mom, I need you to help me make this this robot outfit at the last minute. And it wasn't oh yeah, I need you to put a sheet over me and draw some holes and then all of a sudden I'm a ghost. It was no, we need to carve out aluminum and we need to put it on cardboard and we need to strap it to my legs and my arms and my head and so I can look like this robot at the last minute. And so thanks for doing that. You're awesome. Number 12 is helping others in my school, and I wrote that down, and specifically the library. My mom is a librarian, and she would volunteer to help out, other kids in grade school, and she would be a room mother, and she would donate her time. But not just specifically to that one instance, but basically showing me an example of how, for fun and for free, you basically should help out your peers and your, people in your life, because it makes you feel good. And at the time, I was God, this is neat that she's here and stuff, but why is she doing this for free? And so as I got older, all these little examples like Edaville Railroad and blueberry picking and stuff come back into my head. Not necessarily the specific scenario, but I know the default setting of, okay, I shouldn't lie, and I should give my time to others, expecting nothing in return. I get to have that example because of my mom. WMLN-FM is number 13. So my mom, as I said, was a librarian. She worked at Curry College, which is in Milton, Massachusetts, and they had a radio station, like a lot of colleges do. So when I was, I think, 15, I know it was before I had my driver's license, she would drive me into the college from work, and she was driving there sometimes for work, but there were sometimes on the weekends when she would drive me there. I know that, and she didn't have to work. I had my little radio show. I had my first radio show when I was 14 or 15 or something like that. I think it was 15. And that's how I started my career in radio. And it wasn't just oh, my mom drove me to my job. My fantasy, as soon as I can, as far back as I can remember, was to be a DJ on a radio station and to work in radio and to just be around radio. I just loved it. I would stare at the DJs. It was my ultimate ultimate job. And so she drove me to that, which was like fantastic, and introduced me to the director of radio on the campus. And of course, I wasn't a college student at 14 or 15. And so, they let me work there basically when, other students were probably signing up for the same time slot. Number 14 is banana bread cake with vanilla icing. So I hope that you have someone special in your life, maybe your mom or whatever, that makes you these special things that you can close your eyes and reflect back on and be like, that was a great time. And it wasn't so much that it was excellent cake and it was excellent icing, but it was the times around when we would celebrate with that piece of food. And traditionally it was my birthday or my dad's birthday or something like that, but usually it was my birthday. And so I have huge fond memories of that, so thanks for that. Number 15 is coffee at Panera Bread. So when I go home or my mom comes here, traditionally, for whatever reason, we seem to go to Panera Bread for coffee. And it's a great time because we allocate time. It's like I go home and I talk to my parents in the living room, and then I'll go upstairs, and then we'll have dinner, which is great, and so that's another chance for us to talk. But my mom and I, we always slate a time where it's like, okay, we're gonna make the time, we're gonna drive to Panera Bread, usually in Hingham Harbor, or we come out here to the Panera Bread, actually in Coronado, and we sit down and we talk. And I apologize for the shaking. I forgot to bring my selfie stick, and I have this brand new phone, which is big and heavy, and so therefore holding my arm up for, at least right now, let's see, 11 minutes and 20 seconds. Sometimes I need to change hands, and I've had caffeine, so I'm shaking. Number 16 is I've got my son back. And so I don't want to go into a whole lot of detail. I've shared before that I'm clean and sober, and the path that I chose or got lucky enough to find, quite frankly, when I was 24, almost 25 years ago, was one of those deals where it's like, okay, I know I'm making the right decision not using drugs. I mean, that's pretty painfully obvious, right? And I know I'm making the decision not drinking, even though, I was over 21 and stuff, but it was kind of like, yeah, but I'm drinking excessively and I can't stop on my own, so I'm going to stop this and I'm going to do that. But after about 90 days of being clean and sober and not really, having this whole new life and being very confused about all the stuff I should do, I went home and I told my parents the disaster that I had basically made out of my life. And they were very incredibly supportive. But one of the statements that I remember sitting on the bench in the picnic table in the breezeway at home, and my mom, she said to me, or at least what I remember her saying was, I feel like I've got my son back. And so if there was ever any question of, I wonder if I'm doing the right thing going to these meetings and staying sober, that clinched it. And 25 years in, I have not forgotten that. I reflect back on it regularly, and especially around this time of year, because I'm coming up on a birthday. I have at this time that I'm doing this video, I have 24 years, 11 months, and 2 weeks. But who's counting? Me. Driving to Hamilton is number 17. So when I was a kid, we would get in the car and we would drive through the Mass Turnpike, through the New York State Thruway, and up into Hamilton, where my grandparents lived. And so, obviously it was her going to see her parents and, bringing her son along. But it was just such an awesome experience. And she used to hide these little things. So it's like I would sit in the back seat and we would go, and there would be these little treasures, right? So I would find these little cars, or I would find a chocolate bar or whatever. But it was neat because it was it wasn't just so much, okay, sit in the back and I'll be in charge and I'll be the adult in the front. It was okay, well, you're gonna have some entertainment back there. And so that was neat that she always sort of thought of that. Not sort of, she always thought of that. 18 was supporting my Florida Keys trips. And so at the time in my life when I first found out about the Florida Keys, that was through my friend Arnie, and me and my buddies would drive all the way down I-95, basically from Boston, or Hingham, from Boston all the way down 95, all the way into Florida, all the way into the Florida Keys, 27 hours straight drive. Well, at the time in my life, basically my number one priority was school, and so therefore the only time I had off, the only vacation time I had was between semesters, and you don't go down the Florida Keys in the summer, especially if you're living in New England, because it's just so hot and humid compared to what you're used to. Now I would love it. But we would go in December, and you don't get a ton of time off between the fall semester and the spring semester, so I would want to maximize that time and go down to the Florida Keys. And selfishly, that meant that I would leave pretty much as close to when I got on vacation as I could. But my mom, she wanted to spend time with the family around Christmas. I think makes complete sense. And so I honor her for, making me realize that staying with the family over Christmas was really important on that day, but also allowing me to go down on December 26th or December 27th. Because I can tell you, as far as I know, I left when I was 20 right after Christmas, December 26th, to drive cross country and basically start my new life in California. And that was 29 years ago, actually, this December. So thank you for allowing me to do that, but also letting me know the importance of why I shouldn't leave right away. That's very important to me. Number 19 is she is a friend to one of my new BFFs, or best friend forever, Miriam. If I haven't told you, Miriam is the woman that lives in the big house. And so where I live in Coronado, there's a big house, and then there's a pool, and then there's basically the guest house, or the pool house, or it's the guest house. And I get to live in the guest house. And my mom has come out, and she and Miriam, they hang out, they go to the library, they go for walks, they go to the country club, they have lunch. And I am so honored to have my mom in my life, because when people say, oh, how are you doing? How was your trip? Miriam's always like, yeah, how you doing? How's your mom? And so they're friends, and it's awesome, because the more friends people have in their lives, the better their lives are. And I submit that Miriam's life is much better because my mom is in it. Number 20 is non-stop positive attitude. And what I mean by that is, like all of us, my mom has imperfections in her life, right? And so, you know, the car will get a flat tire or whatever, not regularly, you know, but little things, little pop-ups happen, or it's like, you know, I've got this, you know, pain or whatever. But no matter what, she's always able to sort of pause and say, yeah, but that's okay. You know, I've got this other stuff in my life. I apologize if it's hitting windy right now. I've got these great things in my life, because I don't necessarily default to that. I don't necessarily default to like everything's going good. Now, I can tell you that I'm pretty darn grateful for all of the things I get to do, for all of the people I have in my life, and for my surroundings, and the fact that I'm alive and sober one more day. But my mom's example of being so positive no matter what, that is one of the best things about her. I learn from her. I see what unconditional love is. I see what integrity is. And I see what being a true friend is. And my mom does all that. So those are just my top 20. I could talk forever. And that's a blessing too. But anyway, happy Mother's Day. It's Mike's from the University of San Diego, and the beauty that is available here. I hope you come someday. If you ever do, come on campus. I'll buy you a smoothie. This is the building I get to work in. It's Maher Hall. This is one of our many fountains. I hope wherever you're watching this, you're safe and happy. And I hope you're living the dream. Because if you're not living the dream, you don't have the positive attitude like my mom does. I love you, Mom.